everybody, Patty Ann here again. Hey, I hope you have your cup of coffee, or depending on what time of night it is, maybe you have an adult beverage, but you're ready to sit back, kick back, have something to sip on, and watch as I show you how to make this really super cute letter of the alphabet that's like a mandala, but it's a layered mandala. And I thought this was a super cute way to make it. Hang on just a sec. Because you can put it on one of these pieces of canvas that we purchased to do the reverse canvas on, as you remember. And actually, you could even do a reverse canvas and put this in here. Or you could just put it on like this, and you could maybe use pop dots to pop it up, or even glue dots so that you could change it out whenever you wanted to, if you wanted to put something else on there. Well, this particular font is free from defont.com. So follow me up to my computer screen, and I'm going to show you where to get this font, what it's called, how to use it in Silhouette, and you can use it for your Cricut machine too, remember. But I'm going to show you how to make this so that you can make some really super cute gifts. And stay tuned to the end of the video, because I'm also going to show you some other things that I've made using this same technique. So let's get busy. Okay, here's the letter A, finished in my Silhouette Studio, Business Edition. Remember, I use this edition for my Cricut machine. So if you have a Cricut, you can use this edition of the software, just like you might use Scal, which is also known as Shortcuts a lot, or like you use Inkscape. This is just another software program that you can use for your Cricut machine. And I find this one to be much, much easier for me. It just fits with my learning style, and I just love it. So hopefully, if you haven't tried this one yet, give it a try. You can download the free version. I have it down below for you. If you're using it for Cricut, it will not work with your Cricut machine. If you only have the free version, you need to purchase the Silhouette Business Edition. It's only like $48, I think. A one-time fee. You only buy it once. Heck, if you bought 10 SVGs, you'd have it paid for. And you can make your own with this by following all of the tutorials that I have. So here we go. Here is the letter A. That's the base, the bottommost piece. And then on top of that, we put this one. So this one was 4 layers, and then I had this one. And the next one I had this one. And that makes this beautiful mandala out of the letter of the alphabet. And what's especially nice about this alphabet is that it's for free. I've seen some of these that are, quite a bit fancier than this, but they're quite costly too. And I think this one turns out rather gorgeous, actually. So anyway, follow me up here now, and I'm going to show you where you can get this free font and then how to go about creating this gorgeous letter. Okay, to get this really cool font, all you have to do is come to defont, DAFONT.com. And when you come to defont.com, it looks like this. Then all you have to do is simply come over here to the right-hand side where the search is, and type in Zengo. Z as in zebra, E-N-G-O. And hit enter or search. And there it is. This is the font. So then all you need to do now is just say download. And it'll come down here into your download area on the lower right. Now I've already done this, so I'm not going to go through the whole process. But what I would do next is click on this to open it. And here it is here. But what I need to do is I need to extract it. So I'll go to extract all, and it's going to ask me where I want it to put it. And I just leave that, well, I can show you. Extract all, whoops, extract all. And I always leave it right where this window pops up in my downloads and in Zengo. So I would say extract, and there it would be. Well, I'll continue. And here it is here. And then I would open it. And once it is open, this is what it looks like. I would simply go over here to install. After it's installed, whether I'm installing it for my Cricut machine or my Scan and Cut, I believe too, or my Cameo, my Silhouette Studio, I have to close that program first and then reopen it, or I won't see this newly installed font. So don't forget that part. So many times people say, Patty Ann, I downloaded the font, I installed it, and it's not there. Well, the reason is because after you install it, you have to close out that program and then reopen it in order to see it. So I would just click install now and it would be ready to go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to use this font. So to do this, now let's get rid of this one that I've already done, or actually let's just open up a new window by coming up here and clicking the plus sign to open up a new window. And notice that it comes with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper here, or media. If yours doesn't look like this and you're going to use 8.5 by 11 paper, what I recommend you do is come over here to the page setup panel on the upper right hand corner, click on that, and then on the first little icon here, this is the page setup. Right now my machine is an auto Cameo. I have a Cameo 4. I actually have a Cameo 3 also. The cutting mat is a Cameo 12 by 12. That's what I'm going to be using. And my media size is letter because I made it say letter because that's what I'm going to be using, 8.5 by 11 paper. But yours may come in looking like this automatically, auto Cameo. So it's going to look more like that. But if you want to make sure that what you're making is going to fit perfectly within that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, I highly recommend that you go ahead, change the media size right here, and make it say letter 8.5 by 11. The other thing you may be noticing is there's this red line all around the media. Though that shows the cut line. Anything of mine that goes outside of that line won't be cut. And the way I put the cut border line on is over here. See this little check mark? You can uncheck it or put it back on. You see how it goes off and on, toggling it? Okay, so I'll just leave it on there for now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the left-hand side to the text icon, click on that, and come over here on my media and just click. And then I think what I'll do is the letter, what should I do? I'll do the letter L, capital L, right like that. Once I've done that capital letter L, I can click off of it and then click back on. And what I want to do is I want to use that new font that I just installed on my computer. So I come way over here to this A. It's the text style panel. So I'm going to click on that to open that panel. And I remember the name of the font is Zengo. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the Z's for Zengo. Or I could type Zengo in right here and hit enter. And that changed it automatically just like that. And look how pretty that is. There's the letter L. All right. So my first letter, what I eventually made it was 8.5, 8.5 inches tall after adding all the offsets. So I'm just going to start first of all by coming, do you notice this bounding box around this, that it's real big? If I right click on this and say convert to path, it's going to make it right around the outside of my letter, which is more like what I want. So I think I'll make this letter basically about 8 inches tall right now. So I'm going to come over here to the lock, up here at the top, lock it, because I want it to be proportionate when I change the height. I want the width to change proportionately. So watch, I'm going to hit 8. Whoops, I'm going to put in 8 on my height and hit enter. And did you see that made it really taller and wider? But let's undo that for a second. I can use this button or hit Control Z on my keyboard. Let's undo that to where it was. And now let's imagine I'm going to make this 8, but I'm not going to have the lock locked. So watch what happens when I make the height 8, but I don't make it proportionately wider. So that just makes it really tall and kind of crazy looking. So I'm going to undo that again. This is the undo arrow, or hit Control and the letter Z as in zebra on my computer. And now I'm going to lock the lock again so it changes dimensions proportionately. And I'm going to change the height to 8. Perfect. Okay, So this is going to be my topmost layer. And I don't know if you remember, but from my other one that I made, the topmost layer was orange. So I'll just make this the orange color. Come up here and change it to orange. Okay, the next layer down is yellow. So what I need to do to make the next layer is just click on this to highlight it, and then come over here to the offset panel, which is the one that's a little star with an offset around it. And if you hover over it, notice it says offset panel. And I'm going to click on the word offset. And I don't want my offset that big. You can change how big your offset is right here by the distance. You can use the slider here, or you can be more accurate by typing in your own numbers. I'm going to be more accurate because I want each one of my offsets to be exactly the same size, or the distance. So I'm going to make it 0.05 and hit enter. And there's my first offset. And as I said, that offset's going to be yellow, so I can change it while it's still selected to yellow. All right. And now while that offset is still selected, I can just come up here and say offset again. Once again, it went to the default distance of 0.125, but I'm going to make it the same as the other one that I just did, which was 0.05, and hit enter. All right. So when I was doing this one now, this was a green color. I'm going to come up here while it's still selected and make it green. All right. And then the last one that I did I do 1, 2, 3, 4 layers? Yes. So the last one that I did was a blue color. So again, I'm going to offset. Going to change the size of the offset, 0.05, and hit enter. And that offset I'm going to make the blue. I don't remember. I guess it's that. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now there's a few more things that I'd like to do before I go ahead and cut this. So my top layer is fine. I'm going to cut that just as it is. My second layer now, I'm noticing some little teeny weeny tiny pieces that really aren't going to cut and do anything right there. Do you see that little tiny piece? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of it. And we're going to use the nodes to do that, or the point editing. So what I'm going to do is double click on this thing and look at all those little points that show up. And before I mess with it, I think I'll just come over here, since the point editing panel is now open, and I'm just going to say simplify. And when I click on simplify, that's going to get rid of a few of those nodes. Watch. Okay. So now you can see some of these things I just don't need to cut. That little sliver right there. So again, I'm going to double click, and let's scroll in so you can really see what I'm doing. Notice my hand, my cursor is a hand right now. When I hover over one of those points or nodes, it turns into a little diagonal line through a square, and it's pointing to one of the nodes. If I click right now, notice that node turns white. That means it's the active node, and I can do something with it. I can act upon it. Well, the action that I want to do with that node is I want to delete it. So I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard, and that got rid of all of that. Perfect. Let's see if we have any other really skinny mini ones. I might not even want this to go this skinny right here. So what I can do is I can come over here. Notice I have the hand. When I go over to that node, it changes. And then when I click on that node, it becomes white or active, and I can delete it. Now check out what's going to happen when I delete this node. Because right now, when my cutting machine cuts, it's going to go way down here to a really teeny weeny tiny point. Skinny mini come up here. I don't feel that that really is necessary. I don't think that it's even going to show that well. So I'm going to delete this point. Watch when I hit delete on my keyboard. Oops. So it just deleted that total point. And there's another one maybe there that I might like to delete, this one right here as well. Well, this is the highlighted one, so let me delete that one too. Okay, that looks good. So let's scroll down and see what else. And this is just a matter of trial and error to see what you think you would need to get rid of. All right, so like this little guy right here, he's awfully small. I think I'd get rid of him. So I'll click on that little white, on that little node. It highlights it white. I can hit delete. And then notice it didn't delete everything. It went to the next node and made it active. So I'll delete that. And now they're all gone. All right, let's scroll over and see what else we got to work on over here. Here's another one of those crazy little lines. It's just a slit. So we don't need that. So I'll click on that node, hit delete on my keyboard, gone. And let's see if there's anything, whoopsie, anything else. I think we're pretty good now. So let's scroll back out by coming up here and zoom out. Click off. And let's see, you'll scroll out a little bit more. So let's bring this orange one back on top of the yellow and see how that's going to look. Yeah, that's going to look really good like that. Okay, let's do the same thing to the next layer, the green layer. So are there any on here that you think that maybe ought not to be cutting because they're so small? Well, let's scroll in and see. Yeah, look at that little thing right there. That's not going to show up, right? So again, double click to get the nodes or the point editing, or you can click on this, and if you're not sure, you can come over here to edit the points as well. So watch when I click on this. Did you see that? The nodes come up. All right, so now I'm going to click on this one. It becomes the active one. I can act upon it by deleting. The next one became active, delete, gone. Okay, here's some more. Watch my hand, watch my cursor turn into that little square with the diagonal line through it. Click on that, becomes active, hit delete on my keyboard. The next one is active, hit delete. Oh, another one became active, delete. Now it's all gone. Scroll down, see what else we've got. This one right here. Another thing that you can do is you can just hold down your shift key if you want to and drag a box around this, and then you get all of those nodes at once. So I'm holding down my shift key, watch. Whoops. Hold down my shift key and then just hold down, whoopsie, hold down my mouse. Okay, now I'm having an issue. Hold down my mouse and draw around it. Anyway, I got to get the nodes back. There we go. Delete. All right, let's see. Is there anything else? This one's borderline, but we'll leave it. Scroll back out and see if we have anything on the right-hand side of the letter. Yep, we sure do. Look at this right here. And since those nodes are already selected, what I can do if I want to, let's just get rid of both of these. I'll hold down my shift key and drag a box around both of those and delete. And if I want to, I can scroll in, check this one out, and maybe get rid of that node, delete, so that doesn't go to quite that big a point. There was one more I'm not sure about, like it might be too tiny to cut, this thing right here, so I think I'll just get rid of it. I don't think it's going to cut right. And maybe this one as well. So like I said, this is just a matter of personal preference and trial and error. So I'll just leave that one as it is right now. Scroll back out. And the last one we have to do is the last one. And this one I'm going to make totally solid. So right now it's got some cuts in it, notice. Let's scroll in. There's a cut here and a cut here. Now I can either, since there's just two, it'd be very easy for me to just double click and get the nodes and just draw a box around them, those two groups, and delete them. But if there were a whole slew of them, what I could do is this. I could click on this to select it and come up here to Object, release the compound path, and what that does is it puts boxes around all of these. And once it's like that, once it's all selected, so what I have is a bunch of things selected, I can right click and weld, and then that's gone. All right, so let's put our thing together and then let's go ahead and make it. So here it is. Let's scroll in a little bit more. Okay. So here's our beautiful L. This would be the bottom piece. The next one that would come on top would be this. And then this, and lastly this. And what I would do right now is I would grab all of these and come up to the very top up here where it says center, and center all that, just like that. The other thing that I would do right now, remember I said I wanted this to be 8.5 inches tall? My first one I made 8.5, so I want this one to match because I'm going to put them beside each other on a wall. These are going to be my granddaughter and grandson's initials, perhaps. So I'm going to do, right now I have all of this selected. So I'm going to make the whole thing, I need to group it. And then I'm going to change this and lock the lock again and make this 8.5 tall. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now to make this with my Cameo, what I'm going to do is go to Send It. And notice what it's going to do. It's going to count the outer edge of this, but that's not what I want. I'm going to go to Fill Color right here. And notice it has all 4 colors that I'm using. And I'm going to cut them one at a time like this. So the first one I'm going to cut is the blue one. And I've already changed this to heavy cardstock textured. But what I usually do on mine is change this to 8. That just works for my machine. If you haven't tested your machine, what you can do is just do a test run on the corner of your cardstock to see how well it cuts. And I highly recommend you do that before you start cutting these, or you'll be wasting valuable materials. So always, always, always test. But I've already tested mine, so I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put my blue cardstock on my mat. Okay, I've already cut out these other pieces so you didn't have to watch me. All I have yet to cut out is the blue, so I'm going to do that now. Put that on my mat. Make sure my mat's pretty cleaned off. Don't know where my scraper is. So put this on here and make sure it's on nicely. And then if you look up here at my screen again, I'm going to uncheck the orange because that's actually the last one I did, and check the blue one. And I'm going to change the knife depth as I said. And now look, it says right here to load my media, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in my machine. And it says it's ready now, so I'm just going to click on Send. And when that's done cutting, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm ready to begin assembling now, and I'd like it to be assembled in the same order as this one is, and that's the way I cut it. So the blue is going to be on the very bottom. The next one that comes up will be the green. So what I've decided that I like to use, if I had some spray adhesive that was permanent, I would use that. But I don't, so what I'm going to use is this Zig glue like I had used yesterday. You can use Elmer's glue. I wouldn't recommend probably the, what do you call it, tape runner. I wouldn't recommend the tape runner because these are pretty delicate pieces you're going to find, and I'm afraid that, you know, running that thing over it might be a little rough on it. But this works really well. Elmer's glue might work well. The art glitter glue may work well. But this I have because, as I may have mentioned, I used to have a scan and cut, and we used to restick our mats with this. So just make sure you get those little edges in the middle there because you want them to stick down nice. Actually, dotting it works pretty good too. Okay, that looks pretty good. So all I have to do is bring up my blue piece now, whoops, without ripping it, and set this right on top of that. Again, I probably should stand up, but I think I got it pretty well. All right, so there's our first 2 layers, and it's sticking quite nicely. And after I get the 4 layers, it's really pretty stable. Okay, the next layer will be the yellow one. So again, I'll just take this Zig glue stick. Start in one area and just work my way down. I'll put a link for this in the notes just so you can see what it is that I'm using. They make two. This is a wide tip one, and then there's a narrow tipped one as well. Okay. I like to make sure I get these little rounded things well. And the edges. Okay, so now this one's ready. Okay, looks good. Okay, pat that down all over so I get all the edges really nicely adhered. Looks good. Oh, I see a couple little places I forgot to poke out, but that's okay. They really won't matter. All right. Here I go with the they won't matter again. And I know my friend Rachel's probably cringing if she hears me. Okay, the last piece is this one. And so turn this over. Again, starting near the top. This is the part that gets really delicate because look how thin these are. So you really just have to kind of tap and be gentle with it. Did I get that center good? Probably would have been smart of me to put a piece of wax paper down on my desktop, so I wouldn't be getting this glue all over it, but it's pretty easy to get off. See how nice this wipes right on though? And a glue stick wouldn't be as good because this is liquidy and it's easy to put on. Let's see, I think I have Kleenex right here. Maybe wipe a little of this off before I set anything down. Okay, last layer. Is the L, or of the L. Let's see if I can get it lined up well. Perfect. Oh, love it. Okay, and what I think I'll do with this is just kind of roll it over top, this little zig thing. So I gave it a little pressure to make sure everything's glued down nicely. All right, let's check it out. Look at that. So here's the A and the L. So both of they're twins. Both of their first names begin with an L, and both of their middle initials are A. And then the last name I haven't done yet. But isn't that cute? Aren't those beautiful? I love them. I hope you do too. Hey, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the little bell. And make sure you do subscribe if you wouldn't mind, because I'm trying to get to 30,000. I'm getting closer and closer. And I really appreciate it. Also, look at the links down below. I have a link for the Zig pen. I'll also put the link for the font that I used here. And there's a bunch of other links too if you're interested in seeing some of the other things that I really like, or to join our Facebook groups. So, thanks again for joining me. Have a nice day. Bye, y'all. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. I said I was going to show you some other things you could do with these. So, I didn't really put them on these things, but I just wanted to show you that what you could do, let me bring one at a time. How about a piece of wood that you can get from Joann's or anywhere? Maybe a couple of pieces of wood and you could put their initials up like this, or a word, love or faith or something like that. Okay, there's the piece of wood you could do. Or how about this? If I had made it a little bit smaller, this is something I had made for my granddaughter earlier. If I'd made these a little bit smaller, I could have fit them in here in a reverse canvas, right? Wouldn't that look cute? In the reverse canvas? Okay, the next thing is this. I made my grandson, like I said, they're twins. I did him one of these shadow boxes. Okay, and what about if I had made this a little bit smaller and fit it inside the shadow box? Wouldn't that be cute too? Like that. Okay, and another idea is just put it on the blank canvas instead of doing a reverse canvas as I'd showed you in the beginning. Just put it, oopsie, put it like this and just have the canvas like this instead of doing the reverse. And the last one is, this is one I actually painted for something else and it didn't turn out right, but you could paint your canvas and put it on the canvas like this if you like that. So those are just some ideas of how you could mount these or put them up. Just put them on the wall just like this. I think that'd be super cute on a window. I mean, they're just adorable, and I think you'll really enjoy making them. So again, thanks for joining me. Thumbs up, subscribe. I appreciate it. Bye, y'all.